Hey there guys, how's it going? My name is Sumedh Chatterjee from the Flow Zone Academy, and I'm a flow state coach, which means I help you feel better and perform better. Man, I'm lacking so much sleep because for the past 2 days I've been attending the Cosmic Code Conference, which is online. I'm here in India, but it was in the US, so I had to stay up all night to consume all of that great content from amazing speakers all across the globe, in terms of dating, in terms of entrepreneurship, in terms of the spiritual aspects. And I've been thinking about that a lot, and I recently understood this term of spiritual gaslighting, and I want to bring it up because I think it's super important. I myself have been a part of the spiritual journey for a really long time. I'm 26 now. I started when I was around 20, and so it's been like 6 years now where I've been really delving into this in greater depth. Throughout that time, I've had little mini awakenings, you could say. It's a tough journey for anybody who understands what real spiritual work is. It's not this kind of bypassing, it's not this kind of gaslighting, which is completely shoving problems under the rug. So you want to really ask yourself, what are you on the spiritual journey for, right? Is it for ego gratification, or is it actually for love? And I think that that's a big distinction to make, right? Because someone using spiritual concepts to manipulate somebody else into questioning their sanity, into questioning their perceptions and truth, is quite dangerous. Like how I would explain real gaslighting in terms of what narcissists do. I would explain it like, for instance, they come in, they insult you, and I'm using this as a metaphor, right? They kick you in the shins, and you're like, ow, why did you do that? Why did you kick me in the shin? Then they're like, oh, but I didn't do anything. I didn't kick you in the shin. Oh no, you're doing this to yourself. Do you think maybe we should call a doctor? Are you okay? You get the idea? If someone is not taking responsibility for their own pain, their frozen places in their body, their own internal and emotional wounds, they can actually use spiritual knowledge to try to manipulate, make others wrong, and totally distort the truth, even with a flat-out lie, with sparkly spiritual, vague wording and ambiguous terminology. Their pain body uses spiritual material or spiritual knowledge to deflect and protect itself. Okay, it doesn't want its ego to shatter. It's just it's maintaining, it's preserving that spiritual self, that enlightened state. This fake guru does that as well. They keep this sense of you have to listen to me, this kind of power play. I'll give you an example. Let's say that you have a male yoga teacher. Maybe he's touching you in an appropriate way, right? And his excuse to that is, this is just your trust wound and resistance to the divine masculine. And, I'm getting the guidance from my spirit guide that you need to do some deep work on this part of yourself. In that position, that yoga teacher is not taking responsibility for what he's done is wrong. He doesn't have the integrity to actually say, all right, look, what I did was wrong. He's using spiritual terminology to deflect the situation, okay? So what can you do in this situation? I mean, first of all, getting aware of it, because, awareness precedes control. So once you're aware of it, then you can understand, all right, this person is manipulating me, right, clearly. And he's using this kind of spiritual gaslighting. Kind of find this out, if this person is really genuinely on the spiritual journey, or are they using something just to get some kind of ulterior motive, or has some weird agenda with me, or maybe they're scamming me. But how do you know that? Well, the thing is, when you're on the spiritual journey, you just get an intuition, right? You get a feel for people. You understand what their energy is like, and you start to resonate with the kinds of people that are truly speaking the truth and are authentic. If they're saying my spirit says, or my spirit guide says, or let's say their spirit guide's name is Kalolo, but Kalolo is telling me that what you have said is actually, in fact, false. You see, in the 17th dimension, they speak of these different hominid beings that actually stop from speaking very logically. You see, my friend, you are being too objective and not subjective enough into your own inner world. Right? This is just kind of like spiritual babbling, right? Basically, if someone's saying spirit says, as opposed to just sharing personal truth and feelings, like, I understand, sure, that maybe there's some legit channelers out there, people who are actually tapping into some kind of frequency or energy, but there's a lot of fake people out there, using this kind of information, so you gotta watch out. You really gotta watch out, and it comes down to your intuition. It really does, okay? So the way I've seen it is, this person has a refusal to accept other people's truths. They're not open-minded enough as a practitioner of the spiritual journey, right? And of course, you could argue like a spiritual journey is for the person itself. It's very subjective, right? So who am I to tell you guys like how to approach that? You can do whatever you want. And of course, spirits are also demons as well, right? Demon is also spirit. So when you say you're spiritual, like, what do you mean by that, right? It's like you've got to really identify what you mean by that term spiritual, because when we just say like not of this physical world, that's so vast, right? Because most of the world is non-physical. It's this metaphysical world. We're living in a world of energy and vibration, and so it's really difficult to be able to just make that connotation like, oh, I'm spiritual. Great, that's great. Oh yeah, I meditate. Oh yeah, that's great. That's super trendy now, isn't it? To meditate. But are you doing it just to be trendy and gratify your ego? Or are you genuinely wanting to do the inner work and meditate? Or are you doing it for some kind of external gratification, right? I see a lot of people, they're doing all this stuff for external reward. It's like, I'm going to meditate so I can get a girlfriend. Okay, that's great. That's a nice place to start, I guess. But is that really your journey? Like, you get her, then what? You stop meditating? Basically, these people are rationalizing the cause of their circumstance as being other people's spiritual inadequacy. They're not on a higher vibration enough. They're not a consciousness skill to understand me in my world. Okay? Now this is actually creating more separation if you understand it like this, right? You're saying, I'm on this higher vibe and everybody else is below me. It's a leaking of the shadow aspect within ourselves, villainizing and shaming others. That's why this shame culture actually comes from, is like this kind of repression of our own shadow, right? And that's why we get so triggered in culture. I'm saying we, because I am part of this world, I'm part of culture, right? The way that you can spot it is if someone's just like saying, just manifest it. Just manifest it is the same as saying like, just Google it. It's unhelpful advice, right? Instead of giving practical solutions to what people can do to manifest, people are seeing it as some kind of a muscle up. You know what I mean? It's like we have to force ourselves into manifesting, whereas what we really need is patience, understanding, love, dedication. The other thing that I want to touch on is this kind of spiritual gaslighting terminology, right? You see this a lot. And one that I have particularly a problem with is the terminology of good vibes only. Okay? No bad vibes. No bad vibes here, good vibes only. And hey, it's quite nice to have good vibes, but saying good vibes only discounts many people's experiences. If you've been a victim and you're in a healing process, or if you're simply having a bad day, or maybe a bad moment, or maybe a bad month, and it completely gaslights those who deal with chronic physical, mental conditions to say good vibes only. What I instead would encourage is a community coming out of this, which would be something along the lines of all vibes welcome. Let's actually make this a part of our entire healing process. Because a lot of people who are in the healing community, they're very shattered. They have a lot of wounds. It is why the greatest healers are the ones who have gone to that dark place themselves. They understand it. They understand the shadow. So sometimes the greatest healers out there will trigger you. And they will bring that part out in you. And that's what's healing about it. Because the fact that they're triggering you, they're getting you to face the BS that you haven't been willing to face, that you've been pushing under the carpet for so long. And so what I must remind you is, you want to learn from somebody completely different to you. If you're an introvert, you want to learn from an extrovert. If you're an extrovert, you want to learn from an introvert. If you keep surrounding yourself with the same kinds of people, you're not going to have that perspective shift. The more you can spot spiritual gaslighters, or any kind of the vocabulary or flocabulary associated with that, I would generally just say that, just watch out for it, just be aware of it, don't attach it to yourself, don't absorb it, and you got to know how to protect your own energy space, okay? And once you can do that, once you can create that energy space, once you can create healthy boundaries for yourself, anybody who's selling you a fast track to enlightenment is full of BS, okay? There's no fast track there, okay? There's just a track, and a track right for you, not right for anybody else. It's like your own path is very true to you. And so, you know this journey better than anybody else, so don't, completely start to believe in, like, all of these different mystics out there that are telling you these different facts and, like, taking away your experience of just feeling and being human. That's just my advice to you guys, alright? I hope you resonate with this information. I hope it was helpful to you. If you have any more questions about this, reach out to me on Instagram at Flowzone Academy. That's FLOZONE Academy. And yeah, have an incredible rest of your day. May the flow be with you and stay light.